Okay. All right. So, welcome everybody to another session with me here, Valerie Williams, with Coaching with Valerie. Some of you know me also with collaborations and on a couple of different platforms such as YouTube, Anchor, Patreon, LinkedIn, and the list goes on. Today, I want to welcome another guest of mine, a colleague, Linda Wilson Gordon. She and I have probably known each other, probably getting to know one another better, but I probably say the beginning of this year, we've really been getting to know one another. And she is a phenomenal businesswoman, is doing amazing, great things, and is always grinding and pressing for more. So I want to share her with you, my audience. And today we're just going to get to know Linda a little bit more and talk about income streams and why income streams is important. I have talked about income streams and tried to share some of the income streams, but I'm going to continue to drive that home and continue to invite guests to reinforce and to build on why it's so important. So without further ado, Linda Wilson Gordon.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Valerie, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you for having me on your show today. I really appreciate it.
Of
I'm going
course.
to give you a tiny nutshell background about who I am and my business background and
Yes.
why Valerie's talking to me about multiple streams of income. I actually have three different income streams coming in myself. What I have learned in my over 30 years in a combination of financial services and high tech. I've kind of gone back and forth. Right now, I'm doing both. What I have learned is that it's never a good idea to put all your eggs in one basket, no matter how good that basket is. I have learned that with painful experience over the last 30 years, let's put it that way. So, as I mentioned, I've gone back and forth over a little over 30 years. I started out originally in financial services as a financial planner, and I was both insurance licensed and securities licensed. But eventually, I left personal production and became a wholesaler on the insurance side. I recruited and trained insurance agents across the country, but I eventually grew really tired of that constant cross-country travel, and I took a position based in Seattle selling medical billing software to doctors' offices. And when I left there, I went to work for New Horizons Computer Learning Center, which is the largest computer learning franchise in the world. But eventually, I migrated back to financial services. So I have been with TW3, which is where Valerie and I connected, for 2 years now. I kept my job with the financial services company I was with for about 2 months after starting with TW3 and resigned from there after 60 days. And just a couple of months later, my business partner and we had become acquainted at that previous financial services company. My business partner and I also launched North Star Marketing Group. And North Star Marketing Group coaches insurance agents and business consultants on how to assist business owners in becoming more profitable by uncovering underused tax credit strategies. And we also teach our consultants how to make the largest life insurance sale of their career using a premium finance strategy. So that's a little bit about me and who I am and what I do. And you've kind of got my multiple streams of income figured out now as well.
That's awesome. Awesome. So you hit on something, a lot of good bullet points, and one of them in your journey is about tax code and all that is involved that we all have to deal with, whether we're business owners or not, but even more so as business owners. And that is something that I have been diving into is tax code, and I've found a new love. I love tax code. Love it to me, and I love tax code because it is like a treasure hunt for me,
Yeah.
like looking for all of the ways to make sure that I'm being compliant and that I'm sort of to speak playing the game, doing what the IRS is requiring of me in order to be able to take advantage of all of the tax deductions that I can take, but doing it according to how they require. And so for me, it's like a treasure hunt, and I actually love tax code and just got involved. I've got, let me see, one, two, I've got three mentors in tax code and just love it. Am I an expert at it? No, but I love it so much that it doesn't even feel like a learning curve, because I've just made it like this treasure hunt and learning what they require, learning how to play the game. So at the end of the day, you are not getting slapped on the wrist. And so you have such great experience in that. So give us a nugget. Give us something about tax code or a story or something that viewers can kind of grab a hold of that you think so many are not aware of.
I'd be happy to do that. Look at it this way. In the tax code, since you've been diving into it, you know that there are 17,000 pages.
Is that all?
There are. And maybe a little more by now with the changes this year, but the section that CPAs concentrate on is about 5,000 pages. And that's how to keep people compliant, which boxes to check, which numbers to subtract, which numbers to add, how to keep their clients compliant and make sure that nothing comes back to bite them and they don't get audited. Okay. So the other 12,000 pages are essentially how to reduce your taxes. And some CPAs, the big four accounting firms, obviously pay attention to those because they have big clients. Where we focus are on the companies typically with 500 employees and less, which in IRS code, those are considered small businesses. We consider a small business anything with 200 employees or less, but the IRS, actually, I think they consider 1,000 employees or less as a small business. So that's our focus. And most of these companies and the business owners are working with regional or local CPA firms, and they have no idea what's included in that other 12,000 pages in the IRS code. That's where we come in. And we work with some experts. We have 16 expert CPAs who do nothing, but they don't take the place of the normal corporate CPA. They do nothing but find tax code exceptions or credits, I should say, credits that the company is eligible to receive, but hasn't ever taken advantage of. I mean, when's the last time the IRS sent you a letter and said, Valerie, you've overpaid your taxes. You need to go back and take this credit, and we're going to send you a refund of a couple $100,000. Has that ever happened?
Definitely not.
Yeah. And that's the same answer from both business owners. Most business owners, they just start laughing. They start laughing and they say, no, that's never happened. And I said, okay, good. Here's our position. We think the IRS owes you money and we'd like to get it for you. If we don't get it, there's no fee. If we do get it, there is a fee. There's a percentage. But you don't pay that to us except half up front and the other half when you actually get your refund. And the average that we collect for clients is about $200,000. So it's a significant amount of money. And just as a story, I'm working personally on a big case with a business owner. It's much larger than normal, much larger than average. With a business owner in Oregon right now, we're probably going to get him back a little over $1 million. Now, when this comes back, it's a refund from the IRS, an actual check from the IRS, and it's tax-free to him. Okay, because it's taxes he's already paid.
Right.
And when he went to his CPA and said, dude, why haven't we been taking this credit? Is this legit? And his CPA said, yeah, it's absolutely legit. If these people can get that money back for you, then go do it. And then once they've done it, I have some other business clients that I want them to talk to. And that's typically what happens. And his CPA went on to tell him, if I were going to engage in this arena, I'd have to go back to school for a year. And I can't afford to do that. My practice is too big. I can't leave my clients hanging for a year. I need to focus on, where I am right now, that 5,000 pages in the code. And if they are focusing on the other 17,000, go work with them.
Right. Wow. That is that is huge. That is so huge and so important. Why we need good business owners who are always sharpening their craft, staying abreast of the changes from year to year, regardless of who's in political office. It is just the nature of the beast and is a do or die for us as business owners. So I want to ask you, um, what would you recommend? Now, there's so many things within tax code. I mean, we talked about just the number of pages that there are, and that can just totally turn people off and overwhelm. Now, for
Right.
me, I didn't get all caught up in that. Just knowing that I can save myself thousands of dollars was my motivator to get involved and learn and educate myself about tax code. And then these three mentors kind of fell in my lap, and it was just like, oh my goodness. So, what would you say to the ones who are deterred, intimidated about just learning about tax code, whether they're business owners or not, newbies transitioning from the 9 to 5 into entrepreneurship, business, what have you? What would you advise them as far as getting some type of education on tax code?
Well, the IRS puts out publications, and yesterday, as it happened, yesterday, I downloaded one of those publications because one of the services that we are bringing to our clients right now is the employee retention tax
Hmm.
credit. And that changed in January. And so most business owners and CPAs are not taking advantage of it. And we can get our clients up to $33,000 per employee that they retained in 2020 and on into 2021. Okay, so it's not going to apply to every employer, because if they shut down and they didn't in 2020 because of COVID and they did not retain their employees, they're not eligible for that. But if they did retain employees, even if they got the PPP loan, and that's where the change came in January, because last year they could either take the PPP loan and keep their employees on, or they could take the employee retention credit. Well, in 2020, that credit was only $5,000. Well, the PPP loan in many cases was a lot larger than $5,000 per employee, and they could get that money instantly and not wait for a couple of months. So 99% of them took the PPP. Well, the law changed in January, and now they can go back and take the employee retention credit for 2020 and on into 2021, even if they had a PPP loan, and the dollar amount is significantly changed. It's $7,000 per quarter. So in 2021, yeah, that's where we come up with the $33,000 per employee. So for a small business, let's just say they have 15 employees and they all qualify.
Yeah, we can do
You
the
can do the
math.
math, Valerie. That's a lot of money.
It
And
absolutely is.
and again, it's a refund from the IRS, so it's tax-free money.
Uh,
And it's, the law changed so much in January of this year that it's really difficult for people to keep up. However, what I would suggest for anyone wanting to learn more is go to the IRS site, type in whatever it is. In this particular case, I typed in employee retention tax credit. And then the IRS site itself came up with, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 different PDFs that I could download that addressed that credit. And 2 of them in particular were specifically what I wanted to learn. And so I downloaded those and read through them so that I can talk intelligently both to the
sure.
agents that we coach and train, because North Star Marketing Group has a national network of agents that we coach and train on a weekly basis, and talk intelligently to potential clients. I don't do a lot of personal production anymore. Mostly I'm coaching and training our agents, but I do an occasional case. And I like to stay involved with that because I like to know how it's going for the agents out there. But that's the best source of information.
Mhm.
And then there are other, there's like Forbes publishes stuff all the time. The Wall Street Journal. I mean, you can get articles like that, but if you really want to learn, go straight to the source. Go to the IRS.gov. Go to the IRS website and download those PDFs.
Awesome, awesome. Straight to the source. I love it. I'm jotting down some of these value bombs. So as you see my head going, me just taking notes of these value bombs. So my next question to you, I mean, we could go on and on about tax code.
We're
Um,
nerds.
but and see, you had mentioned earlier about TW3, which is a platform that we use, both Linda and I, for our businesses. And we share that platform with other clients, and how they can use that to really excel, grow their business, plug it in. It's kind of a one-stop shop, includes multiple income streams and so forth. So you had mentioned TW3. Tell me how that platform has impacted your business.
Okay, so TW3 is a lead producing platform. If you need leads for your business, no matter what you're doing, if you're an insurance agent, if you're a financial planner, if you're an automobile dealership, if you're a restaurant, because the restaurants are beginning to open up a little bit now, at least here in Washington State they are, and I think pretty much across the country they're starting to open up. There are multiple ways within the TW3 platform that you can create leads. We have lists available by zip code. We have a bulk texting system, a bulk emailing system. There's a CRM that's very powerful. In fact, I haven't even learned all of it yet. I'm
Yeah,
still
yeah.
working on that. Uh, but I've just simply been too busy with North Star Marketing Group to get back in there and learn that CRM, because it is a big one. It's very, very powerful. It does a lot of things. So within the TW3 platform, there's also training on not just how to use these segments of the platform, but how to market. And I think that maybe one of the most valuable things about the whole platform is the marketing training, and particularly for people who are new to the digital marketing world. And I'm kind of giving away my topic on my next training that I'm going to do for TW3. I'm going to talk about digital marketing.
Excellent, excellent. I know for me, TW3 has just been a whirlwind, but a good whirlwind, sort of to speak. You just know when you found your tribe, when you have found those ones that you are to glean from and just be a part of. So it has been, and it so spoke to my DNA with the income streams. I cannot say it. And I think you said it best with not putting all your eggs in one basket, no matter how good that one basket looks, just don't do it. COVID, perfect example of why we need to have income streams. And so, yes. So I want to ask you next, Miss Linda. Now, you already have kind of given it away and shared a project that you have been working on and has been taking up a lot of time, but how profitable it's going to be. Give us some other nuggets that you have learned about just the importance of income streams. You have three. Why three? How did you come into multiple income streams? Why is it so important for you personally? And what has it done for you at this point, up to this point?
I'm going to give you a personal story going way back into the early 90s. Okay, I was a wholesaler for a particular marketing company, and my job, this is before email, we were still doing things on the telephone and with a fax machine. And my job as a marketer for that company, as a wholesaler, was to recruit insurance agencies, not individual agents, but agencies with 15, 20, 30, 40 agents, and then get on a plane and fly to their location and train them on the product. So I was doing really well with that company. I was actually one of their top 10 wholesalers, and I was making, let's just put it this way, I was making a lot of money and I loved it, My kids were grown and had just finished college. They were out of the house and on their own, and I had not yet remarried. And so, I was really enjoying it. And the travel part at that point was not as complicated as it is today, particularly, of course, this year after COVID, it's even worse, but pre-COVID, it was still more complicated. Well, since 9/11, it's been a lot more complicated than it used to be back in the 90s. I would go into a particular city a couple days ahead of time or stay a couple days after the actual training. And that was, a mini vacation. I would explore museums and, that depending on, exactly where I was. So I really enjoyed that work. And like I say, I was making a lot of money. So I went from a very good income, having a job that I loved, to zero and not having a job overnight because the CEO of the company was killed in an accident. And
Mm.
he was a good friend of mine. He was a mentor for me. He had been in insurance marketing for many years. And it was just a huge shock for everyone, everyone involved with the company, because the insurance carriers had written into their contract that if anything happened to him, they were pulling the contracts. So we
Mm.
had no products and no companies in the space of a few hours. And 12, on Thursday, I went from having a great job, you know, doing everything that I love doing and making really good money. On Friday, there was nothing, zero. That was a painful lesson. It was it was a very painful lesson. And so I decided at that point that I was never going to depend on a single one income stream again. And ever
And
since then, I have tried really hard to stay diversified. Sometimes it's not particularly easy to do, sometimes it's impossible to do. But I have always tried to have some kind of a side hustle going on.
mhm, absolutely, absolutely. I know with me, I want to say going back into 2015, having another mentor in the economic arena, finance, business finance, economics, and driving that point home of just multiple income streams. And tell me what some of the barriers that you believe people have as to why they may not want to get into income streams, why they haven't done it, or even if they are oblivious to it, what do you believe some of the hindrances are into getting into some income streams?
Well, of course, the biggest one is time. For younger parents, let's say, who have children at home, that's very, very difficult to do because they have their job and then they have their second job at home, taking care of their kids and their house and each other and so on. So that's a real challenge. Like I said, when this happened to me, I was an empty nester. Totally, it was just me and my cat and my garden. Just that was it. So it's also a mindset, and I think that the mindset has definitely changed over the last 15 months because of COVID. And I think there are more and more people out there who have come to the realization that, wow, I need some kind of a side hustle, or a home based business or a second part time job, because what if something happens to this job, this career that I've built my life on for the last 15 years, and boom, it's gone overnight?
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
it could happen to any company out there. I mean, I used an example of Neiman Marcus on our training with our agents the other day. Here's a 122-year-old high-end retailer, and they've had to close multiple stores because they couldn't pivot fast enough to be an online presence, and most of their shoppers are not shopping online. And they've had to file for bankruptcy protection. And like I said, I think they've closed something like 22 stores across the country right now.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, that happened last year to a lot of different businesses, and we saw it. My husband and I saw it in the music community because a lot of our music friends are considerably younger than we are. We're the grandparents of the group. Um, you know, it's they had a second job as an Uber driver or a waitress or a bartender, whatever, and those jobs went away, and the music industry went away, and a lot of them were really, really hurting until the unemployment laws changed so that gig economy workers, like they were doing, self-employed workers could apply for unemployment and get some kind of assistance because everything was shut down. It wasn't their fault, you know. Just like what happened to me, back in the early 90s, wasn't my fault. It life happens and you can't always control what's going on out there. But I
Mhm.
think that time and mindset, to answer your question directly, I think the two big things are time and mindset.
Mhm, mhm. So I'm so glad to really have you to just be a part and to get to know you better, Linda, because it's the wisdom, and scripture taught, there's a whole book of the Bible dedicated strictly to wisdom called Proverbs. And
Thank you.
so I'm an only child, grew up as an only child, so I grew up very fast because I was always around adults, and so I just grew up fast, but I always gleaned from wisdom. I always gleaned from my elders. And my mom always used to tell me, she said, you're growing up too fast. You need to enjoy your childhood. You're just too grown for your age. And it was like, well, mom, give me a brother, give me a sister. And then, maybe I will have that image in front of me. But outside of being in school, I was always around adults. And so I was always around wisdom, was always around my elders. And I look back at that today. And so when I see, my elders, those that I consider my elders, those who are older than me, I'm in my early 50s, and anybody older than me, I consider them my elders, and I look at them as wisdom. And so I'm always looking to glean. I'm always listening for what I can hear. Even when someone is talking, I'm looking for, okay, they're saying this, but what else am I hearing in what they're saying? And that's how we can kind of pull and go deeper into wisdom and apply it to our lives. And so I'm so glad to get to know you and have you a part of my life because I have more wisdom coming around. And I'm glad that I can have you to bring wisdom to my audience. And so I just applaud you for all that you are doing in business, all the training that you're pouring into us younger generations, and even your generation you're pouring into and always doing a hustle. So with that being said, give us some wisdom nuggets.
Okay, so we're talking about multiple income streams, and there are actually eight eight different streams. Um, there's earned income, which is working from a job. You're getting a salary. Okay. Uh, there's profit income, and that's from buying and selling. Now you can, we live in a really small town. I'm about 2 hours west of Seattle, and there are people in this town who regularly go to garage sales or estate sales, and they buy things and they repaint them or they fix them up or whatever, and then they turn around and sell them. So profit income, and that can be buying and selling anything. I mean, there are people who flip houses. Uh, there's lots of things out there to buy and sell. There's interest income. That's income from lending money. If you have a savings account at the bank, you're lending money. The interest income is pretty low. There's residual income. Now, the residual income is one of the best kinds of income that there can be. That's when you continue to get paid after the work is done. And that's also passive income. And anybody that owns the TW3 system already has several different ways to create active and passive income, and that residual income happens to be one of them. Okay, then the fifth one is dividend income, and that's income from owning stocks and getting dividends on that. That's probably further on up the ladder for a lot of the younger entrepreneurs. They're not in a position to own stocks yet, but they'll eventually get there. Now, rental income from renting a house or a room in your house, or maybe you have an ADU and you have a thriving business with Airbnb, whatever that rental income might be. Capital gains, assets that you own that are
Yes.
increasing in value. That can be your business, that can be your house, that can be, stocks and bonds that you invested in. There are a number of ways for assets to improve in value. And then, of course, royalty income. If you've written something, if you've invented something, you can earn income, and that's the eighth way. Income from other people using your original idea.
Nice, sweet, sweet. Love it. Okay. Now, you mentioned investments. And this is it depends on what side of the fence you're on. You mentioned about the millennials and, maybe the newer generation or the newer folks coming on into entrepreneurship about investments. Talk to us a little bit more about investments. Investments is another thing, almost like tax code, that can be really intimidating, depending on how you look at it, what angle you're looking at, as far as being time consuming, as far as being intimidating, as far as risk factor, the high, the low, medium risk, all of that, and what you have to learn, that learning curve. Talk to us a little bit more about investing. I think the millennials are a little bit more receptive, or becoming more receptive to investments, but I want to hear from you on this because, again, um, we have wisdom here that is with us. I think they're being a little bit more receptive because there's so many new things that are coming about to make it accessible for the average Joe to get involved in investments. Back in the day, investments, you had to drop thousands of dollars to get involved. Now you have things like Robinhood, all these new platforms that are kind of user friendly to get yourself educated and to kind of come in kind of low risk. So you're not getting so much high on the bar, medium scale, high risk involved. So talk to us a little bit more about investing and just what you see with investing.
What I have seen with investing is, and I'm going to go back to basics here. The number one thing that people need to do is to have 6 months worth of income, whatever your income is that you need, your bare bones to cover what you have to cover. Your mortgage, your utilities, your car payment. If you have any credit card debt, whatever that is that you have to cover, have 6 months built up in reserve first. Then look at investing and starting small with one of the platforms that you just mentioned. There are a lot of different ones out there. Just do some research, find out which one fits you better, and put in $100 or $200 or $500. You don't have to have thousands of dollars to start an investment fund. There are also many times, if you look for them, investment clubs where 7 or 8 or 9 people get together, and then they pool their money and decide where to go with it. But one of the best pieces of advice that I can give is, if you're serious about investing, find a good fee-based financial planner in your area, and you can ask around, ask your friends, ask your relatives, get recommendations, find out who's good, interview 2 or 3 different ones, sit down and talk with them one-on-one. What's their philosophy? How much do they look at, putting in high risk investments and secure investments? Does that fit with your personal philosophy? Some people can stand much higher risk levels. Other people want 100%, 100% secure. They don't want to take any risk at all. So they're looking at the big cap stocks and bonds. Those are not returning a lot right now, but they are returning better than just money in the bank. Money in the bank, you're losing money because you're paying taxes on that. So you have money in a savings account, it's going down, not up. But at any rate, there's a good book that I recommend to everybody, and it's called Cash Flow Quadrant. It's
Yes.
Guide to Financial Freedom by Robert Kiyosaki. Sounds like you've maybe read it, and
Yes.
you get down to the I in the cash flow quadrant, and that's where you become an investor, and money's going to work for you. And the other piece of advice I have for everybody out there: live on 60% of your income. Put away 30% and take 10% to have fun. 10% to travel, go on vacation, go out for dinner, whatever it is that you want to do to have fun. Set that aside for yourself, but live on 60%. You shouldn't, unfortunately, in our consumer economy in the United States, I've seen this over and over and over when I was doing personal production as a financial planner. I saw it so many times. People are living on 120% of their income. And so the other 20% is going on credit cards. And so they're always in debt and they're always trying to catch up. That's a trap that you want to get out of. You do not want to have, thousands of dollars of credit card debt. If you are making a big purchase, you're going to have some debt for a while. I'll give you a personal example. My husband and I moved into the house that we're in now 4 years ago. Well, almost 5 years. September will be 5 years. And we, when we moved from Seattle out to the little town where we live now, we gave our living room furniture to my daughter. She needed it then. We didn't want to put it in storage. The house that we were moving into out here was totally furnished. And so we just said, hey, you know what? We've had this for a while. When we get around to needing it again, we'll buy a new stuff, so we just gave it to her. So for the last 3 years, we've been trying to decide on a sofa. And last year, when we had a little more time than normal because of COVID, we finally decided on a sofa for the living room. And we didn't have 100% cash, so we wanted to debt a little bit to get that sofa. But we had waited for that sofa for 3.5 years. And we had 4 chairs in the living room and no sofa. And so, now the living room is all rearranged. We've gotten rid of 2 of the chairs and we have the other 2 chairs and the sofa. And I am so happy because every time I walk in there, it makes me feel good. So it was worth the wait. And we went into debt a little bit, for big things like that. That's a big purchase, it was a big purchase. It was a custom made sofa. And we're so happy. We figured at RG's, this is probably the last sofa we're ever going to buy. So, we took our time. We finally found a company that we liked. We got a bunch of fabric swatches. We discussed it. We talked about it. I mean, it took us, even when we got serious about it, it took us about 4 months to finally order it.
Wow.
When it got here, we were thrilled. So that's just a personal story. I say, don't go in debt. There are exceptions.
Right. Definitely exceptions. And I want to piggyback on that because there was so much that was said in that. And, specifically you have to, again, going back to finding your tribe, going back and finding, okay, who out there that you can identify with, that you're going to learn from, that you can glean from, and knowing your tolerance level and having goals. Okay, what investment? There's so many out there. You've got your gold, your silver, you've got the famous digital currency now, crypto and Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the list goes on. You've got real estate. So knowing which investment tool, which lane of investment you're going to be in, your risk tolerant, who that mentor is, finding that mentor and, that tribe, sort of to speak. The other thing is looking at your finances. And obviously, if your finances are not balanced, you're not going to be investing right now. You're going to be cleaning up your finances. If your debt is, not where it should be, and we all know when our debt is looking a little bit messy, you're obviously not going to be investing, and you're going to be cleaning up so that you'll have more, so that when you're ready to invest, you've got more to give and to balance. So yes, absolutely. And books out there like Robert Kiyosaki is one. Even some publications out there like Forbes magazine. There's so much going on right now with the digital currency, and we've got Elon Musk who's speaking into digital currency and driving prices up and
Up
down
and
and
down.
up and down, and people are being emotional. And so that's another thing. You've got to figure out if you are an emotional buyer, and if you are, how you a handle on that, and that you're not following. You got to think if you're a short-term buyer versus a long-term buyer, if your investment's going to be short or long-term, and just where you are with those mediums. So yes, absolutely. We got about 10 minutes left here, Miss Linda. So anything else that you feel that is pertinent for my audience, even myself, for us to know? I mean, I just want to just pull I can. And so for the last few minutes, share something from your heart, that, I don't know, maybe it could be something in your day to day that weighs on your heart that you want to just yell from the mountaintops, for us to just know, for people to know.
Get your finances in order. If you have not read The Millionaire Next Door yet, go read it.
Yeah.
That's a foundation book for everyone who wants to get their finances in order. Warren Buffett is a great example. He's still living in the house that he bought 40 years ago or something like that. Don't think that you have to keep up with the Joneses. That's a terrible mindset. You're better off being under the radar than over it. And take care of your emotional needs as well. It's because when money is a very, very emotional topic. Again, back when I was doing personal production with financial, I would have clients sometimes would sit in my office and burst into tears for one reason or the other. Either I had just told them they're in really good shape and there was really nothing I could do for them. I might make a couple of little adjustments and, suggestions, but they were doing great. They didn't need me. Or I delivered some news to them that was, kind of earth shaking for them when I said, hey, you know what? You are living way above your means and you need to cut back. And here's where you need to cut back. You're spending too much here, and here. And you've got credit card debt here, and here. And here are my steps that I'm suggesting you take to, number one, get out of debt. And at the same time, build a savings, a nest egg. You can do both. You may think that you can't, but you can. And here's what you're going to need to cut in order to do it. And sometimes they took my advice, and other times they were like, yeah, I'll make more money next year and pay this off. It's like totally oblivious, that's, and then I would, just shake my head and write them off as clients. But learn from people who have walked the talk, like the guy that wrote The Millionaire Next Door, like Warren Buffett. I mean, Warren Buffett says, don't ever have one single income. He states that. Now, he's a person that I can happily take advice on because he's a whole lot wealthier than I will ever be. And so look for those people and find out who they are. Read books. We're so accustomed to, looking at our cell phones 5 times an hour. And I think book reading has gone by the wayside, and that's a real shame. I mean, there are so many good books out there that you can use to educate yourself on financing multiple streams of income, how to start a home business. I mean, there are a multitude of ways to do that, but my one piece of advice, if I needed to shout it from the
Yes, yes, yes,
mountaintops,
yes.
is
Please.
get your financial house in order.
Amen and amen and amen. I'm
Thank
just,
you.
we've got a couple more minutes and I'm going to continue to post to the very last minute. So amen to that. You're going to do all of the above. Now, Linda, if people want to get a hold of you to just talk to you about more about what your business does, tax, anything involving tax, code, litigation, just knowing those checks and balances, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, they can either text me or call me at 206-569-8188. That's a number that my business number where they can either call or text. They can look me up on LinkedIn and connect with me there. It's Linda Wilson Gordon on LinkedIn. They can email me, linda@wilsonlinda.com, or they can go to my company website, which is northstarmarketinggroup.com. Now, particularly for anyone listening to this who is in financial services, and we work with business brokers, we work with financial planners, we work with registered investment advisors, we work with insurance agents, that we coach and train on how to become a valued, trusted consultant to business owners, and how to make those business owners more profitable, how to find underused tax strategies and put money back into their bottom line. And so if you're in any area of financial services and you're listening to this and you'd like to connect with me, please give me a call, because I'd like to talk with you.
Awesome, awesome. Good stuff. Oh, I'm so excited we have this interview. Now, Linda, do you do any teaching? Because I just see you, I just see you, I just see more teaching out of you, but probably not so, I don't want to say intense way. Uh, I just see you doing more teaching, consulting, advisory, overseeing, and maybe even doing some one-on-ones, kind of outside of what you're doing now, maybe not under that North Star umbrella. But I just see you doing more teaching. I don't know if that comes in the form of I mean, I can even see you doing some online webinars slash seminars, and taking like, the top 5 things from, the tax changes of 2021. Some of the changes that have hit us as business owners in 2021 as a result of COVID, and how we've managed to stay above the rim despite COVID. I mean, I just see you just doing, I know you're doing a lot already, but I'm just gonna share what I see. I did this with Terry. When I had with Terry, when I interviewed Terry, and he was so gracious. And so I just see that more with you, more one-on-one mentorship as well. Whether, I don't know, it's younger women, educating them, and just kind of really being that mother figure with the wisdom, and where people can glean from, because right now it's just like I just want to just continue to pull these nuggets. And I was the same way with Terry, like, no, don't go. I just want to continue to pull and glean and be like a sponge. And so I just share that with you, and just impart that to you, and encourage you to just keep on going. Don't stop what you're doing. I just wish continued health and prosperity on you, to continue to live out and receive everything that you want to receive, and most importantly, to leave a legacy.
Well, I appreciate that a lot, Valerie. And again, thank you for having me on the show. And it's really interesting that you should mention webinars, because now this is not outside North Star Marketing Group, this is inside. We actually have a webinar scheduled for June 16th at 10 o'clock Pacific time for business owners, specifically talking about some of the tax code and how we can put money back in their pockets, but particularly the R&D tax credit and the employee retention credit. Those are the 2 main topics. And we have a couple of expert guest speakers who are going to be on that webinar. And so if anyone's interested, business owners want to be on that webinar, they can just go to LinkedIn, to my profile, or to the North Star Marketing Group company page on LinkedIn. And the invitation is there with the date and the time and how to register for that upcoming webinar.
And that is when? Give us that date again one more time.
June 16th, Wednesday, June 16th.
Is there a time frame on that?
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock Pacific time.
Okay, I may jump on that if I am available, because I never, and I want to say this to viewers, if you're in more, for example, I have 3 mentors that are in tax code, a Carla Dennis that I am with, a Jerry Lawrence, there's another mentor that I have in tax code. And if you have more than one mentor that overlaps into an area of expertise, it is quite okay. It is fine. You're not being disloyal to one or the other. You are just you just can't learn enough. It's part of our personal development, which is ongoing. So I just want to share that with our viewers, that if you have a mentor and they're overlapping more than one in one area, it is perfectly fine. You are just being more well-rounded in that particular area, or even more than one particular area. So Linda, I want to thank you for being a part. I am going to send you a copy of this so that you can use it for your purposes as well. I'll send you the audio and the video if you're interested, and you can, use it for your personal gains as well, and to get it out there for what you do. But I thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you to Linda. And I will see you when we get back with our elite group and with Terry Wilson and the gang.
All right. You have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Stay safe, Linda. Thank you again.
Thanks for having me on the show, Valerie.
You are